Hello again, everybody. Zach Attack is here with my UFC 170 review for the Saturday night, February the 22nd, 2014. UFC needs to step the shit up big time. This is the second UFC pay-per-view in a row in 3 weeks. Uneventful again tonight. Like the action's okay. I'm not saying there's some decent action, but the lacking excitement. I missed the last fight night last week, Machina's fight. I saw like a review, the headline that said the main event was uneventful, but the striking was good. That's where UFC is. The action's good, but there's no excitement. Once again, second pay-per-view in a row. And the only good thing is that because when this card was announced, I was looking forward to the co-main event because the only good fight of this card was the co-main event until Rashad got injured. And once he got replaced, it was like, it's going to be a silly squash, which it was, if you would say. Because I knew the main event was going to be kind of predictable. The only good thing about the main event was, and you say by the description on the subtitle, that we finally see the Rowdy one finally get a non-submission victory. Albeit, once again, questionable. Second pay-per-view in a row, we have a questionable ending involving Herb Dean. I think Herb Dean needs to start refereeing main events. Anyway, same rating as my last pay-per-view for UFC, 5.0 out of 10. Like, at least last pay-per-view 3 weeks ago, 169, had a decent first fight, Abel Trujillo against Jamie Varner, and a great comeback from Abel. But there was none of that tonight. Not much excitement tonight. Like, the third fight was the closest thing to anything good. But even that was just lackluster. The guy couldn't have been finished. So, let's start this little card with a first fight in the main card, the lightweight division. Stephen Thompson against Robert Whittaker. Now, this first fight, I'm going to sound like a broken record because I'm going to say this for every fight. For at least the first 3 fights. Decent action, not much excitement. There was a decent striking in this first round. Like both guys were like striking in pretty well. Decent stand-up for both guys until Stephen Thompson just got Robert down. Just got him with a big punch and got him down to the ground, just started pounding on him. And of course got the TKO victory in the first round. So, like I said, 2.2 because I like the knockout. The knockout was pretty good. It was probably the best knockout of the night, if there was any knockouts tonight. Mostly a lot of TKOs tonight. So, but of all the TKOs, that's one of my favorite. Because at least the knockout was pretty decent. Like a little killer punch and bang. Got him down. It was a decent fight, Like I said, decent action. The only exciting thing was the ending, kind of. So there you go. Now on to our second fight. PYLE against TJ WALDBURGER. Now this was the tale of 3 rounds. For sure. First round was mostly filling out period. Second round was the takedown round. Like both guys were switching grappling. Like trading chokehold. Like PYLE was trying to chokehold, like trying to choke out. TJ WALDBURGER trying to do the chokehold move. And then the third round was, Herb Dean was referee at this one too. And like I said, Herb Dean in UFC 169, he ended the fight too early in the main event against Wenan Boel, and you are in favor because the fight, in many people's eyes, should have never ended the way it did. Well, this time, Herb maybe complained, maybe bitched about for letting this go too long. TJ WALDBURGER, after a spinning back fist from PYLE, that was like the beginning of the end for TJ WALDBURGER. That was the beginning of the end. He just, after that little back fist attempt, just pounded on him. And took him down to the ground, just pounding on him. And he was not defending himself. Herb Dean should have ended it within 20 seconds of that. Instead, he let it go for about 45 seconds. Look, it felt like an eternity. Just PYLE just pounding on TJ WALDBURGER. And TJ was not defensive at all. He was just being pummeled, basically begging in his mind, probably in his head. He was like begging Herb in his mind, please end this now. And Herb finally ended. Because like I said, I think Herb was trying to learn his lesson from the last UFC, trying to end it too early. He may not have learned his lesson in the main event of tonight's pay-per-view, but still, he didn't want to end it too early again and get fixed at. So he let it go a little bit too long, as PYLE did get the TKO victory after that long delay, after just pounding on TJ WALDBURGER 2.0 out of 5. Like, once again, like I said, I've already warned you, I'm going to sound like a broken record tonight. Just decent action, you know, decent striking, decent ground and pound, but just not lacking excitement. We need excitement in UFC these days. It's not a little less talk and a lot more action, like I say about TNA. We need a little less. I'm trying to think, but I can't really think right now. We need a little less dance and a lot more action. So there you go. Mike PYLE defeated DJ WALDBURGER TKO after just pounding on him after Humpty let it go a little bit too long. Now, on to our third fight. Probably in my mind, the only thing that anything good was Rory McDonald taking on Damian MAIA, another welterweight fight. Now, in the first round, Damian MAIA was trying to steal a game plan out of GSP's playbook by being on the defensive, taking down Rory McDonald for the first round. Because when you see I've seen many GSP fights, when GSP is up against a striker, like Damian MAIA was up against Rory McDonald, a vicious striker, GSP would take him down any chance he can get just to keep him on the ground so he won't be able to strike him. And that's what Damian MAIA did for the first round, taking down Rory McDonald any chance he can get, trying to take him down and pound him down to the ground. But for the second and third round, Rory McDonald's striking was the star of the second and third round. He just pummeled on Damian MAIA for the second and third round. And once again, decent action, not much excitement. You know, especially Rory McDonald was just pounding on Damian MAIA. In my mind, they should have never went to the third round. Damian MAIA should have been knocked down the second round, in my humble opinion. You know, Damian MAIA should have been knocked down the second round. You know, because I think Rory McDonald ran out of gas. Because Rory McDonald was just pounding him big time. By the time the third round, I think McDonald ran out of gas too. Because Rory McDonald just pounded on him because he knew he didn't have enough gas to finish it. In my mind, he should have finished in that second round. He almost had many opportunities to get Damian MAIA finished. You know, to go for the win. But he just pummeled him as the fight ended with a unanimous decision. Rory McDonald, those last 2 rounds, won the fight for him. But Damian MAIA did try to strike back, though. You know, MAIA did try to take him down again. And did have some striking of his own. But Damian MAIA was bloody by the end of the fight. You know, the only thing that closest to good, because at least it was bloody and violent and decent. But, like I said, once again, lacking excitement. But still, Rory McDonald got the victory. 2.3 out of 5. Like I said, the only thing good the only decent or good fight out of this entire card, the only closest thing to being decent was this fight, because it was just decent action, especially Rory McDonald just pounding on MAIA. But in my mind, it should have been a second round knockout. Rory McDonald should have been able to knock out Damian MAIA in the second round instead of going to the third. But I think he didn't have enough gas to put the finish. You know, he didn't have enough gas, he didn't have enough power to finish MAIA tonight. That's my humble opinion, because he was just pounding on him. So there you go. Now on to our co-main event. Daniel Cormier taking on Patrick Cummings. Now, as we all know, this co-main event was supposed to be Rashad Evans taking on Daniel Cormier. We all know the story. This fight was canceled. It was supposed to be happening at UFC 173. It was supposed to be postponed. But Daniel Cormier wanted to fight. He didn't care who he wanted to fight. He was ready. He was trained. You know, he was perfectly trained. He was healthy. He wanted to fight anybody. It was supposed to be a 4-fight card, which I think they should have remained in. I don't think Daniel Cormier should have been in this fight tonight. In my mind, Daniel Cormier should have waited until the fight against Rashad Evans. But I think that fight should happen now, in April, because Daniel Cormier had easy choppings on Patrick Cummings. When I heard that they replaced Rashad with this Patrick Cummings guy, I was like, because I knew that the main event was going to be kind of stupid, because I thought, like everybody else thought, that Ronda Rousey was going to get another armbar victory. But as we saw, it wasn't to be, but it was still a one-rounder. Anyway, like this one was. Because when I heard Patrick Cummings was going to come in, I was like, that's going to be a squash. Just Cormier is just going to destroy him. Boy, was I right. This was a motherfucking squash. Cormier just pounded on him from the get-go. Like, when the bell rung, he just pounded the fuck out of Patrick Cummings. Just knocked him down, just took him down to the ground, just pounced his ass out. TKO victory for Daniel Cormier at 1.0 because it was a minute. It was a minute. And it was a squash like I expected. Because Cormier just came in aggressively and Cummings had no fucking chance in hell. I knew Cummings had no chance in hell. And I knew it. it was going to be a squash right when the bell went, when I was like, Cormier just had Cummings' number. And Cummings had no offense at all. He just stood there and just took it up the butt. Because I knew Cormier was going to win because he was already trained. He was ready. Cormier was ready to go. Cummings took this fight on the 10 days notice. I will give Cummings credit for at least taking the fight on the 10 days notice after a lot of guys pushed it out. You know, a lot of guys didn't want to fight on the 10 days notice. Even MAIA, not MAIA, but Chael Sonnen kind of called out everybody for not accepting Cormier's fight, for not stepping up to fight. In my mind, I think Chael would have put on a better fight tonight than Patrick Cummings. You know what I mean? I think Chael Sonnen should have fought Daniel Cormier. It should have, like, one or two things should have happened instead of this fight tonight. Either Daniel should have fought Rashad as scheduled in April. He should have waited for Rashad, or fight Chael tonight. But I still think Cormier is gonna. I still think Cormier is gonna fight Rashad, because Cormier didn't get hurt tonight. He just destroyed Patrick Cummings in like a minute. So I still think Cormier should fight Rashad soon, because Cormier didn't get injured. And if Rashad's ready, I think they still should fight at UFC 173 in April as scheduled, as they were wanting to until Cormier took this fight on the short notice. But like I said, I was fearing it was going to be a squash, and boy, it was. Just Cummings just got destroyed. And he was outclassed by Cormier. Because Cormier is a Grand Prix champion of Strikeforce, and I knew that, you know, and Cormier was trained, he was ready to go. Cummings took the fight on the short notice. Once again, give him credit for it, but he just didn't belong there. He just took his money and ran because he got knocked out pretty quickly. So 1.0 for this fight, Cormier and Cummings. Now, on to our main event of the evening. For the Women's Bantamweight Championship, Ronda Rousey defending her title for the first time since December against SARA McMann. Now, once again, I'll say this. I like Ronda Rousey. I like her attitude. I like her fight style. But my only thing about her, she's as predictable as John Cena. Because her fights always end the same way. On ball. So I was like, because after the co-main event was changed, I was like, oh man, and I know the main event was going to end in an on ball. Well, the only good thing was, it didn't. The good news and bad news. Good news is, Ronda Rousey finally won a match that wasn't submission. She finally won a fight without using the on ball. Finally. The bad news was, it was another one-rounder. Like the co-main event. Like, the fight looked promising enough. The both girls were just fighting tooth and claw. You know, it looked promising. Because I like women's fighting. You know? Because they're more exciting than the boys. Because I remember last year, Ronda Rousey fought in February. Her fight was good. Main event was good last year. But once again, I didn't like I don't like the fact that she's predictable. But I don't think she's predictable anymore because, like I said, she did not win by submission, but the way it ended was kind of screwy. After a promising start, these two just going tooth and claw, Rousey just pounded on him. A big knee to the gut, and McMahon was down, and Herb Dean ended it. Now, for the second pay-per-view, we have a questionable main event finish. Now, because at UFC 169, Herb Dean ended the fight in many people's eyes, and in my eyes as well, too early. The fight against Renan Bobo and Uriah Faber, it ended way too early in many people's eyes. And this fight could be debated for being ended too early as well by Herb Dean. After McMahon got down, you know, it was kind of a questionable finish. Many people's eyes may question it, but I think it might have been a right call. But in my mind, I think they should not make Herb Dean referee main events again. There's a second main event in the world, and Herb Dean's refereed, and it's been a questionable finish for the second pay-per-view in the world with Herb Dean refereeing. I think he should be banned from refereeing main events for a while. You know, he tried to learn his lesson from the last pay-per-view main event, although letting the Mike Pye or TJ WALDBURGER going a little bit too long, but he kind of didn't learn a lesson by ending the fight in many people's eyes too early again. But you know, it's gonna be debated. It's gonna be debated about whether or not this fight's finish was whited. You know, this decision to end the fight early was a good one. It was kind of like a weird way to end it. Like I said, the only good thing was we know that Ronda Rousey can finally win a fight without using the on ball. That was the only good thing. Ronda Rousey can finally win without using the on ball. 1.5 for this one. Another one rounder. So like I said, second UFC in a row, not much excitement. UFC needs to step their game up. I'm happy for one thing, that Bellator's returning. And I used to hate Bellator because of one bad experience, but Bellator, in my mind, is better. Because Bellator cares about one thing, putting on exciting fights for the fans. That's my humble opinion. I hate to say it, but UFC, after seeing these last couple UFC cards, the UFC on Fox, the UFC on Fox Sports 1, the last two pay-per-views, it's just been so exciting. Like I said, there's, once again, decent action, but not much excitement. You know, I may have to bring a pillow next time I watch UFC, because I almost fell asleep again. You know what I mean? Because it's like, come on, guys. Dana White needs to fucking tell us, guys, listen, I don't care if you guys put on good action, but put on action that's exciting, boys. Excite the fans. Don't put them to sleep like you've been doing the last two pay-per-views. And I haven't, like, I don't watch UFC that often anymore. I used to watch UFC a lot, but like I said, I'm a disc jockey. I'm not able to watch UFC a lot because I'm usually booked on Saturdays. So I'm thinking, goodness gracious, that I'm not watching another UFC pay-per-view till April. Till Bones Jones returns. And at least Bones Jones puts on decent fights. So there you go with that. UFC 170, another uneventful pay-per-view. Once again, like I said, decent action, decent striking, but not much excitement. You know, no exciting comebacks, no exciting knockouts, none of that. No excitement tonight. That's why UFC's lacking. That's why I'm happy Bellator's come back. So once again, 5.0 out of 10. Hopefully when I make my next UFC pay-per-view review in 2 months, the pay-per-view will be higher than 5.0, thankfully. Hopefully, it will be. That is it for my UFC 170 review for today. See you all later with that in mind. You've all been attacked by the review thumbs hack. Thank you again for watching this and stating my little rant here. Thank you again. Have a great weekend. See you later. Yeah.